My 2018 Honda CR-V needs new rear shocks, so this video we're going to get that job done. I've got the driver's side rear wheel off, and it's jacked up and on a jack stand just to make sure for safety. And here's the shock that needs to be replaced. And to get at the top bolts, you got to go up in here, and you can see there is a 12 millimeter right there, and there's one over on the other side. Kind of hard to see, but two 12 millimeter bolts need to come out. I'm using a 12 millimeter ratchet with an extension and a breaker bar to get this job done. It did not take a lot of torque on the breaker bar, just some feeling, and so we're getting those pulled out. The two top bolts are out, the shock is loose at the top, and now we need to get a 17 millimeter bolt off down here at the bottom of the shock. As you can see, I have my 17 millimeter socket on it, and I have a breaker bar, so let's see if we can crank it loose. Pretty tight quarters, but it didn't take too much to get it, and so now we'll get this thing cranked out of here. You may have to play around a little bit with the height of the bottom suspension just so that you can actually get this bolt all the way out and you're not rubbing up against the spring with your socket. So learning that by trial and error, but I think I'm going to be okay. That bottom bolt is now out, and so I am ready to take this loose, and I want to kind of pull this out and drop it down so that I can see how this top part goes. Make sure I get it all lined up for going back in. You can see there's a hole here. That hole goes towards the exterior of the car, and so you can see the two holes that the bolts came out of, and that center hole that goes towards the exterior, towards the wheel of the car. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky. I'll have to put the 14 millimeter down over the bolt, or I guess it's the nut, and then I'll have to put a 5 millimeter Allen wrench in it and then hold that steady while I unloosen the nut. So it will look something like this in terms of holding the Allen wrench while turning on the regular wrench to undo the nut. Okay, so the way I got this bolt loose or nut loose was to use some PB Blaster, and then to use the ground to set the Allen wrench against, and then I was able to get enough torque on the nut to loosen it up. And so soon we'll have this assembly off. And I laid it aside, and so now I can just lift off this whole thing. I think so. Well, let me see what's going on down here. Okay, so on the bottom we have these flanges, and I just need to loosen the boot from those flanges, and it will come on up. And you just pry the boot back with your fingers, and then you can see the flange there that it hooks on. So we'll do that with all three flanges. So we got the boot off of all three flanges, and we should be able to just lift this right up on out of there, and there we have it. The old one is removed. For my new ones, I got KYB gas shocks from Rock Auto, and they don't have that flange that the boot hooks on, and I don't see a way to actually remove that. So I guess the boot will still go over it, but it just won't have that fastening at the bottom like the original equipment did. But we'll go ahead and open this up and get it installed. So the new shock has opened up, and we'll go ahead and get the boot on it. It just slides down over the top like so. I'll probably have to use my other hand to line it up. I'll get that. Alright, so we got the boot back on it, and you can see where the bolt came up through, and so we'll put the nut back on it, and we'll do the same trick in reverse in terms of using the Allen wrench to get it tightened up. All right, using the Allen wrench and the regular wrench, got that nut on there tight, and we're about ready to reinstall. And just got to remember that the side with the hole goes towards the exterior of the car, towards the fender. So we don't want to forget to put the cap back on, and again that just snaps down on there, so it's all good to go. And then we'll go ahead and line up the bottom and get the bottom in first, and then you can see back in here where it's going to go. We'll get the bottom in first, and then we'll get the top put in place. All right, the bottom bolt is started, and now we'll work at getting those 2 12 meters put in place, and then we'll tighten everything down. Got the 2 bolts back up in there. Let me tell you, that was an adventure getting those threaded without being able to look and see, but they're in place, and so I'll tighten those down, and then we'll go ahead and tighten up this bolt down here, and we'll get those back in and put everything back together and go do the other side. Just one other note, when I was putting those bolts in up there, one of them dropped out in the process of hunting for the hole and fell back in behind here, a mud flap or mud protection guard, so you just pop those off and the bolt fell right off. So I'll put those back in, the little pins, and then we'll put the tire on, and we will consider this side done. Kind of bummed that the KYB shocks don't have those flanges to hold the boot all the way down when it's fully extended, but I guess it is what it is. It's all back together and the job is done.